Asia. Good evening, America. You're watching WION The World is One. This is World DNA, the show that gets you ahead of the rest. I'm Jyotsna Kumar.
And I'm Adya Junejan. On the show today, the US is preparing what it calls its biggest ever financial offensive against Iran as Tehran threatens to halt oil exports from the Gulf. Now, Pakistan's army chief is heading to Tehran as diplomatic efforts to end the war remain stalled. And with oil flows, the Strait of Hormuz and global markets in the crosshairs, can diplomacy prevent this economic war from becoming a much bigger global crisis? Well, we'll bring you this and much more on the show today.
Well, also on the show, Ukraine is marking its Independence Day under a deadly Russian escalation as Kyiv hosts key European allies, seeking urgent air defense supplies and tougher pressure on Moscow. With civilian deaths at their highest since the war's opening months, Europe is facing renewed calls to help protect Ukraine's skies, while attacks and counterattacks continue on the ground. We'll get you all the details on that and much more on World DNA. Let's begin with the headlines.
U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent warns an economic D-Day for Iran as the Trump administration prepares to roll out economic sanctions that target Iran's trade partners.
Oil prices fall on Monday as investors take profits ahead of expected U.S. sanctions on Iran. Brent drops nearly 2% to about $92.5, while U.S. crude is also down to around $85. Concerns remain over West Asia supply disruptions and tensions around the Strait of Hormuz.
Russian authorities say a drone attack has killed at least 2 children in Krasnodar in country's south. The strikes also damaged warehouses, including a logistics hub of online retailer Ozone.
At least 30 people killed in Guinea after heavy rains triggered landslides at one of the largest landfills in capital Conakry.
More than 40,000 people have been evacuated in Nevada and many others are under orders to leave as a wildfire reached outskirts of the state's third most populous city of Reno.
National Security Advisor Ajit Doval is set to travel to Beijing today for the 25th round of talks between India and China's special representatives on the boundary issue. The talks come ahead of Chinese President Xi Jinping's expected visit to India for the BRICS summit in New Delhi.
Several people, including Delhi lawmakers Anil Jha and Abhay Patil, sustained minor injuries after a car crashed through a road divider and collided with another at the ITO traffic signal in the capital.
UEFA Chief Alexander Treferin has said that he is not interested in replacing Gianni Infantino as FIFA president, but has warned that Infantino must either quit or face leadership challenge in March. Now, top story in World DNA. The U.S. is threatening Iran with what it calls the greatest financial offensive ever marshaled as Washington prepares to roll out economic sanctions targeting Iran's trade partners.
Well, Iran, in turn, has vowed to shut down all oil exports from the Gulf if the economic war continues. Well, ahead of the official announcement, U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said Washington is now entering the endgame.
Bessent wrote, and I'm quoting here, "At dawn begins an economic D-Day, the single greatest financial offensive ever marshaled against an adversary. Percent said the objective is to sever every economic lifeline that sustains the regime until Tehran stands alone.
Iran has been bracing for the sanctions for days now, issuing a series of strongly worded warnings and threatening retaliation. It has said that if the economic war continues, not a single drop of Iranian oil will be exported, neither through the Strait of Hormuz nor from anywhere in the Persian Gulf. Iran's top national security official has suggested Tehran still has more cards to play. Well, listen into this.
So far, we have not attacked any U.S. economic interests. None. We have struck U.S. bases, yes. Why? Because attacks against us were launched from those bases. But if they are going to wage economic sanctions against us, does the United States not have oil companies and other economic interests around Iran and elsewhere? Then we will strike them. Isn't this U.S. economic move in the form of an economic war just another act of foolishness?
Iran has also warned countries against participating in the U.S. economic war, saying those that do so will be considered enemies.
Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian has acknowledged that Iranians are facing serious economic pressures. Pezeshkian said that because of President Donald Trump, well, Iran is now in a full-scale economic, military and security war.
Meanwhile, Iran says it has discovered more than 200 billion cubic meters of natural gas in southern Fars province. Its petroleum minister said more than 160 billion cubic meters could be extracted from the field. However, according to Bloomberg, any new production from the site is likely to be years away.
The Pakistan Army Chief Asim Munir is set to travel to Tehran on Monday as efforts to mediate an end to the West Asia war remain stalled. Iran's foreign ministry said the visit is aimed at strengthening bilateral cooperation. It also said the visit is part of ongoing efforts to help consolidate peace and security in the region.
U.S. Central Command has reported that American naval and air forces enforcing the maritime blockade against Iran have redirected 70 commercial vessels, disabled 3 ships, and boarded 2 others to ensure full compliance so far.
Nearly 200 ships navigated the Strait of Hormuz last week, up from 150 the previous week and just 40 2 weeks earlier, according to data from the UK Maritime Trade Operations Centre. Now, the surge brings total traffic along the route to about 20% of pre-war levels.
Gaza's collapsing health system is pushing doctors to impossible choices.
But this as fuel, medicines and critical medical supplies run dangerously low. While hospitals are rationing electricity, postponing surgeries and fighting to keep intensive care units and incubators operational. Well, in the crowded wards of a hospital in Deir el-Balah, well, doctors are confronting a devastating reality. They are running out of oxygen for the people who need it the most. Health officials warn the shortage could have a catastrophic impact on premature babies and critically ill patients in neonatal and ICUs.
If these stations stop completely, the hospital will shut down entirely. Not being able to obtain medical oxygen for the operating rooms and intensive care units means the hospital will cease to function.
We are operating 4 oxygen filling machines out of 30. This greatly affects the filling of cylinders for patients inside and outside the hospital. It will greatly affect the filling of cylinders for field and private hospitals as well.
The crisis extends far beyond one hospital. Across Gaza, only 12 of 35 oxygen production facilities remain operational after months of war and destruction.
The World Health Organization has warned essential medicines, surgical consumables and trauma supplies are critically scarce. And aid agencies warn without sustained access to essentials, while the Gaza territory risks facing a lasting collapse that could take years to rebuild. Well, the Russia-Ukraine war continues unabated, with both sides carrying out long-range strikes.
In Russia's Krasnodar, 2 children were killed and another 9 people, including 7 children, were injured after drone debris hit a private childcare center.
Well, this comes hours after Governor of Russia's Orenburg region said that 2 industrial facilities were hit by drone debris, including a warehouse owned by Ozone, which is a major Russian online retailer. Well, he did not name the second damaged facility.
In Ukraine, a Russian attack on the outskirts of the northeastern city of Kharkiv killed 3 people. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said deliveries of crucial Patriot interceptors have fallen by more than half since 2023. And according to him, Ukraine received 675 missiles in 2023 and 364 in 2025, while the figure for 2026 stands at 264. Kyiv, which is seeking additional interceptor missiles, will host a meeting of its key European backers to press for supplies and more pressure on Moscow.
Well, the meeting of the Coalition of the Willing will be jointly chaired by the leaders of Britain, France and Germany. UK Prime Minister Andy Burnham will be in Kiev for his first international trip since entering 10 Downing Street, and several other leaders are expected to join remotely.
Burnham is set to announce that the British government is authorizing defense firm MBDA to release classified information needed to help Ukraine and France set up local production of the long-range Scalp missile. On Saturday, French President Emmanuel Macron pledged Paris would deliver new interceptor missiles as well.
Well, Ukraine celebrates its Independence Day on Monday, which also marks exactly 4.5 years since Russia invaded on 24th of February 2022.
And diplomacy on ending the conflict, which is Europe's largest since World War II, is effectively frozen. Russia is demanding hardline territorial and political concessions that Kyiv has rejected as a capitulation that would only enable another Russian attack. Now, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky is pushing back against growing calls for elections, saying a vote during the war with Russia could dangerously divide the country.
Now, the political debate comes as Zelensky faces mounting pressure from both abroad and within Ukraine over his leadership and the future of the country's democracy.
Now, Ukraine's elections remain suspended under martial law, with only 15% of Ukrainians saying a vote should be held before the end of hostilities. But pressure for elections has intensified.
The former Defense Minister Mikhailo Fedorov has called for efforts to organize a vote, a move that has fueled speculation about whether he could emerge as a political rival to Zelensky. Well, Fedorov remains a prominent figure in Ukrainian politics, having gained public support for his role in expanding drone warfare and pushing military reforms. His political ambitions are now under renewed scrutiny, particularly as he prepares for a visit to the United States.
Zelensky's position also comes amid wider questions over Ukraine's political stability as the war enters its 5th year. The Ukrainian president has previously faced calls from both Russian President Vladimir Putin and U.S. President Donald Trump to hold elections. But Kyiv says there are fundamental obstacles to a credible vote during wartime, including how millions of Ukrainians living abroad would participate, how soldiers would cast their ballots, and whether voting could safely take place in Russian-occupied territories. And there are also concerns over Russian interference and attacks on polling infrastructure. Zelensky argues that elections under such conditions could deepen political divisions rather than strengthen Ukraine.
Well, moving on now, polls have closed in Kazakhstan's snap parliamentary elections, which are expected to further strengthen the power of President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev. 3 exit polls reported by state television gave the pro-Tokayev party between 70 to 72% of the vote, giving it most of the 145 seats in a new single-chamber parliament.
Now, the Electoral Commission put turnout at 74.19%, rising to 90% in some regions. Tokayev came to power after Nursultan Nazarbayev, who had ruled Kazakhstan for decades. The two later fell out after major unrest in 2022, when more than 200 people were killed in clashes between protesters and security forces. Tokayev has since promoted political and constitutional changes.
Now, the latest being Kazakhstan's new constitution adopted earlier this year. It changed parliament from a 2-chamber legislature into a single chamber, paving a way for a new parliament to be elected under the new system.
Now, President Tokayev signed the decree calling for the election when the new constitutional system took effect on 1st of July. The Democratic Republic of Congo and the Rwanda-backed M23 armed group have agreed on a roadmap to advance peace negotiations.
Well, this follows Swiss-mediated talks aimed at ending one of Africa's longest-running conflicts, while the breakthrough builds on the U.S.-brokered Doha Framework Agreement signed last year. But despite that deal, fighting has continued across the mineral-rich East, leaving the humanitarian crisis unresolved.
Now, a joint ceasefire verification mission will deploy to Menembwe in South Kivu. And this marks the first on-the-ground effort to monitor compliance under the Doha Peace Framework.
Well, a new round of talks was held in Switzerland last week. The two sides and their mediators said that they had staked out a path forward. Now it offers cautious hope for eastern Congo, where decades of violence have displaced millions. Armed groups, however, continue to battle for control of the region's vast mineral wealth.
Now, last year, the rebels seized large parts of eastern DRC. This triggered a major escalation and renewed accusations that Rwanda backs the group, a claim that has been repeatedly denied.
Now, the two sides agreed on a standardized system for reporting ceasefire violations, a key step aimed at reducing mistrust as fighting continues despite previous peace commitments. Well, extreme weather is gripping multiple European nations simultaneously, forcing thousands of emergency evacuations due to a combination of severe wildfires, floods and powerful storms.
Now, cities like France, Spain, Serbia and Bosnia are battling with severe wildfires, which is fueled by extreme summer heat and months of drought. In France, massive wildfires swept across the Cap Ferret Peninsula in southwestern parts of the country, prompting authorities to order the total evacuation of the tourism hotspot.
Originating north of Cap Ferret, well, the blaze tore through more than 10,000 hectares of forest, threatening the peninsula's only escape route and destroying dozens of homes. Roughly 63,000 people, many of them tourists, were forced to flee as boats and emergency teams were deployed to assist with massive evacuations along the Atlantic coast.
Now, similarly, Spain has faced a weekend of contrasting climate crisis, battling both flash floods and intense wildfires. Torrential rains injured over 11 people, causing major disruptions to road and rail transport. Wildfires in Spain were triggered by lightning strikes.
A fierce wildfire in the eastern Valencia region burned roughly 630 hectares of land. France and Spain have faced wildfires on their respective bordering areas, especially in France's southwest regions. Well, both the countries have sought help from the European Union as the blazes strained firefighting and other emergency services.
Now, a cross-border dispute between neighboring France and Belgium is escalating over duck hunting, with conservationists demanding greater protection for migratory birds.
To protect the hunting activity near the protected Archy marshes, well, 700 people gathered near the Bernissart in Belgium, which is near the French border.
The campaigners say the ducks that move from the Belgian wetlands into France are exposed to gunfire just kilometers from the protected area. Alan Malangru, a volunteer ornithologist with Natagora, observed that monitoring before and after the opening of the hunting season shows a sharp difference in the number of ducks returning. And he also described the intensity of the hunting activity, with around 1,200 to 1,300 shots fired during a 90-minute period.
We count the ducks that fly past before the start of the hunting season, those traveling from Belgium, from the Harchys marshes to the French wetland, before the hunting season begins. The difference between the two is the birds that have disappeared, that have died. It lasts an hour and a half, with roughly 1,200, 1,300 shots fired.
But But the hunters reject the characterization of the issue as a widespread crisis. Well, the president of France's FDC 59 Hunting Federation, Simon Regine, expressed concern that a local issue involving only a few facilities is being transformed into a cross-border issue.
We, as hunters, see this as a great injustice because we're talking about just a few facilities, 5, 6, maybe a few more. For a very localized problem, it's a minor issue that people are trying to blow out of all proportion at the national level or even across borders and use to create tension.
However, conservationists say they are not demanding a ban on hunting. Sophia Instale, legal advisor to the LRBPO, observed that their demand is for a 1,500-meter buffer zone around the protected area.
We're not asking for the impossible. We're not asking for hunting to be stopped. We're not asking for anything completely outrageous. We're simply asking for a 1,500-meter buffer zone in order to comply with international and European legal provisions.
Well, the dispute now centers on where hunting rights end and cross-border wildlife protection begins.
The 21 former international cricket captains have appealed to Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, and they have appealed to ensure full court-ordered medical care for jailed former Prime Minister Imran Khan.
The former captains, including Indian greats such as Kapil Dev and Sunil Gavaskar, along with icons like Adam Gilchrist, Sir Alastair Cook and Sir Clive Lloyd, have said that they were writing as former colleagues and rivals united by their shared connection to cricket. Now, the appeal follows concerns over the implementation of a Pakistan Supreme Court order. The order directed that Khan be transferred to a hospital for examination by a medical board that was to include his personal physicians and his sister, Dr. Uzma Khan. But the captain said that Khan's hospital stay lasted only a few hours.
Now, according to his family and legal team, he was examined by a state-appointed medical team, declared medically fit, and returned to Adalat jail before the court-directed board could complete its assessment. And the former players say they did not seek to interfere in Pakistan's domestic legal or political processes, but call for the Supreme Court's direction to be fully implemented.
Well, they call for 3 measures: completion of an independent medical assessment by the court-directed board, including Khan's own doctors, uninterrupted weekly family visits, and prompt provision of any treatment recommended by the medical assessment.
Now, former Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan has been in custody for more than 3 years and amid multiple legal cases. The former cricket captain said that they hoped the matter would be resolved quickly and with dignity. The latest appeal builds on a letter sent 6 months ago by 14 former international captains urging humane treatment and proper medical care for Khan. 7 additional former captains have now joined the appeal.
Moving on now, as India continues to expand ambitions in human space flight and deep space exploration, well, it is now aiming to establish its own space station by 2035.
Now, speaking at National Space Day celebrations in Ahmedabad, ISRO Chairman V. Narayanan has said that the first module of the planned space station has already been approved.
Now, the project marks a major step in India's long-term effort to build an independent human presence in orbit. ISRO is also pursuing a range of ambitious space programs, including deep space missions, solar research, human space flight, and planetary defense initiatives.
The agency is working with NASA on several projects while seeking to expand opportunities for private companies to commercialize India's growing space sector.
Under the visionary leadership of Honorable Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi ji, lot of programs are in the pipeline. We are working on the Gaganyaan program, we are working on the further Navy programs, and we have to place a lot of satellites for multiple applications, and we are working for our own space station called Bharat Antariksh Station. The first module is already approved, and then we have to establish the space station by 2035.
India's space ambitions have received a major boost last year when it became the 4th country to demonstrate space docking technology. The achievement is considered an important capability for future crewed missions and the construction and operation of a space station.
The country is seeking a larger role in the global space economy, estimated at around $400 billion, as New Delhi promotes space exploration and commercialization as part of its broader ambition to establish India as a global power. All right, time for a very quick short break on World Day, and we'll be back with more news and updates from across the world. Here are some images that have been making news from across the world. We'll leave you with that. Do stay tuned. We'll be right back.
No matter what your day throws at you, stay in the spa state of mind with the Kohler Spa at home.
The Israeli drone is above our heads all the time in Lebanon. Around 169 buildings have been totally reduced to rubble. Every time there's a warning, they just come to this public area where there are around 200 tents, and they reside for a while, and then they go back to their homes. Some of the Lebanese people enjoying their times, and some others forcibly displaced. From the southern suburb of Beirut, I'm Radi Francis for WION World is One.
No matter what your day throws at you, stay in the spa state of mind with the Kohler Spa at home.
In-depth coverage of global issues broken down into facts, figures, and simple words. Backed with analysis from field experts who truly matter, because we believe in decoding the real picture for you. Week after week, creating the maximum impact. Watch WION Wide Angle at these times on WION World is One.
No matter what your day throws at you, stay in the spa state of mind with the Kohler Spa at home.
In the last 12 months, India's defense technology has taken some big steps forward. INS Mahendragiri is bringing stealth, sensors and networked systems to the sea. Rustam is giving the forces an unmanned eye that can stay aloft for hours. And INS Malwan is designed to hunt submarines in shallow coastal waters. How do you stop a swarm of drones? That is where Bhargavastra comes in. India's indigenous counter-drone system is designed
Thanks for staying with us. You're watching WION World is One, and this is World DNA. I am Adya Juneja and my colleague Jyotsna Kumar. Let's start with the headlines we're tracking for you at this hour.
U.S. Treasury Secretary Bessent says Washington is entering the endgame with Iran as it readies new sanctions expected to target countries and businesses that continue trading with Iran.
Oil prices fall on Monday as investors take profits ahead of expected U.S. sanctions on Iran. Brent drops nearly 2% to about $92.5, while U.S. crude is also down to about $85. Concerns remain over West Asia supply disruptions and tensions around the Strait of Hormuz.
Syria says it held talks with Israel in Jordan on de-escalation after recent Israeli strikes and on keeping the country out of tensions between Israel and Turkey, an ally of Damascus. Sources say Foreign Minister Assad al-Shaibani met head of Israel's Mossad.
Reports say Iran has been invited to join the Mecca Agreement for Mutual Defense, a new security alliance formed by Saudi Arabia, Turkey and Pakistan. But the report citing a senior Iranian official has not been officially confirmed.
Russian authorities say a drone attack has killed at least 2 children in Krasnodar in the country's south. The strikes also damaged warehouses, including a logistics hub of online retailer Ozon.
At least 30 people killed in Guinea after heavy rains triggered landslides at one of the largest landfills in capital Conakry.
More than 40,000 people have been evacuated in Nevada, and many others are under orders to leave as the wildfire reached outskirts of the state's third most populous city of Reno.
Indian National Security Advisor Ajit Doval is set to travel to Beijing today for the 25th round of talks between India and China's special representatives on the boundary issue. But the talks come ahead of Chinese President Xi Jinping's expected visit to India for the BRICS summit in New Delhi.
UEFA Chief Alexander Ceferin has said that he is not interested in replacing Gianni Infantino as FIFA president, but has warned that Infantino must either quit or face leadership challenge in March. The National Security Advisor Ajit Doval will begin China visit today.
Well, he will be attending the next round of India-China Special Representatives talks on the boundary question. Well, Doval and Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi are expected to sit down for the 25th round of these talks on Tuesday. Well, both the representatives have been tasked with untangling the 3,488-kilometer border dispute between the two Asian giants.
And the backdrop is anything but quiet. The talks are being held against a backdrop of a recent standoff between the countries in Arunachal Pradesh. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, speaking just ahead of the talks, reiterated that peace and tranquility along the border remains non-negotiable for any good relationship with China.
Well, Doval's visit assumes greater significance as it comes ahead of Chinese President Xi Jinping's expected trip to India next month to participate in the BRICS summit. Though both sides have not made an official announcement in this regard, but Xi is expected to join the summit to be held in Delhi in second week of September.
Now, this will be the first meeting of the special representatives in a full year. The last round were held in New Delhi in August 2025, where both sides reaffirmed that the 2005 agreement will remain their reference point.
This 2005 agreement is born out of an exchange of maps on boundary perception in Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand and Sikkim, though Beijing later backed away from doing the same for Arunachal Pradesh and Ladakh. A 28-year-old Indian national from Punjab was shot dead by an unidentified assailant in New York City's Brooklyn while reportedly on his way to deliver a pizza.
And the deceased, identified as Gurdeep Singh, hailed from Jabawal village in Punjab and had traveled to the U.S. in 2017. And he had been working as a pizza delivery driver for the past few years. And according to his family, Gurdeep's cousin Sahil, who lived with him in the U.S., informed them of the incident after being alerted by officials of the pizza company.
Well, the Indian Embassy in New York expressed grief over the incident. In a post on X, the embassy extended its heartfelt condolences to the bereaved family and said that the consulate is in touch with them and providing all possible assistance.
Now, this is an incident that has been reported where a 28-year-old Indian national from Punjab was shot dead by an unidentified assailant in New York City's Brooklyn while reportedly on his way to deliver pizza.
Well, he's been identified as Gurdeep Singh, hailed from Jabawal village in Punjab's Kapurthala district and had travelled to the US in 2017, and he had been working as a pizza delivery driver for the past few years in the United States. Well, according to his family, Gurdeep's cousin Sahil, who lived with him in the US, informed them of the incident after being alerted by officials of the pizza company.
Now, the Indian Embassy has reacted and they have expressed grief over the incident. In a post on X, they have said the embassy extended its heartfelt condolences to the bereaved family. And to give us more details, we are now being joined by the editor of Foreign Affairs, Siddhant Sibbu. Thank you, Siddhant, for joining us. Now, what we know is that India has reacted, but has there been any development so far? What do we know?
Well, we're waiting for more developments. This is indeed a shocking development. He was a 28-year-old person from Punjab, from Kapurthala, and was in the US for some time now. Now, it is being reported that he came to US through the Dunki route, and it is also being now reported that the investigations are underway. Now, what the Indian consulate can do, of course, is the repatriation of the body, and that is something that will be done very soon. And of course, we know that the family here in India is quite anxious. This is a clear case of shooting in which he lost his life.
Right, of course, we'll be getting more updates for our viewers to understand the situation well. But thank you so much, Siddharth, for joining us and getting us all the updates. Well, moving on now, a gruesome family murder has shocked Rangpur in northern Bangladesh, where police have arrested two young men in connection with the killing of a retired school teacher, his wife and their two children.
And the accused are maternal cousins who were arrested in overnight raids after investigators recovered the bodies from the family's home.
Well, police say the murders took place after the retired teacher allegedly confronted the two men for consuming a methamphetamine-based drug on the rooftop of his house. Well, investigators allege the suspect strangled all four family members before they ransacked the house to stage the killing as a robbery.
The killings have triggered outrage across Rangpur, with people staging protests demanding swift justice and the maximum punishment for those responsible. The controversy over the health and treatment of former Pakistan Prime Minister has escalated once again.
Well, Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf is demanding that Imran Khan undergo a CT coronary angiography at Shifa International Hospital. And according to reports, PTI says doctors had recommended the test for Imran Khan because of heart palpitations, fluctuating blood pressure and other symptoms. Now, party leader Sheikh Waqas Akram says that the test was considered medically necessary. PTI is now demanding that the test be carried out at Shifa International Hospital under the supervision of independent specialists and Imran's personal doctors. Now, the demand follows the party's claim that the recommended test was not carried out at Pakistan Institute of Medical Sciences on 20th of August.
Now, according to Imran Khan's party, Imran Khan was taken to PIMS on 20th of August for a medical examination, but the recommended CT coronary angiography was not performed. And the party has also alleged that the hospital officials claimed the required equipment for the test was not available. But PIMS had a functional CT scanner. PTI is questioning why Imran Khan was taken to PIMS instead of Shifa International Hospital. PTI has filed a contempt of court case before the Supreme Court over the change of hospital.
The PTI is also demanding the immediate release of Imran Khan's medical records, reports and test results. The party wants these documents shared with his family, personal doctors and legal team. It is also calling for a transparent inquiry into the medical treatment provided to Imran Khan. On 18th of August, the Supreme Court ordered that Imran Khan be shifted to Shifa International Hospital within 2 days. Now, the court directed that he receive a medical examination and treatment there. It also ordered the government to form a specialized medical board for his care.
But on 20th of August, Imran Khan was taken to PIMS and later returned to Adala jail within a few hours. The government had cited security concerns. PTI has condemned the move and accused authorities of violating the Supreme Court's order. For young people entering the workforce, getting that first job is becoming a much harder proposition, and the problem is now global.
Well, the latest ILO data shows youth unemployment has risen to 12.4% worldwide. About 67 million young people aged 15 to 24, and roughly 257 million young people are neither working nor in education or training. Well, our next report dwells into how the global youth face a three-way squeeze: AI, geopolitics, and aging population. Take a look.
Getting that first job is becoming a much harder proposition, and the problem is now global. The numbers show just how uneven this crisis is. 26.2% youth unemployment across the Arab states, 22.6% in North Africa, around 15% across Europe, with the EU at 15.5% in June. And even North America has climbed to 9.8%. The ILO says youth unemployment increased between 2023 and 2025 in 8 of the world's 11 subregions. And look at some of the individual markets. South Africa, more than 47% youth unemployment. China, 17.9% in July, an 11-month high and sharply up from 14.9% in June. Europe, 15.5%. India, 9.9% on the ILO's internationally comparable measure and 13 to 15% according to official estimates. And in the United States, youth unemployment was 8.5% in July. The numbers are not directly comparable across every country because national definitions and reporting periods differ. But young people are finding it harder to get a foothold. And now comes the bigger change. The traditional career ladder was simple: study, get a junior job, gain experience, move up. But AI is starting to change that first rung. The ILO says 6.1% of jobs held by 15 to 29-year-olds are in occupation highly exposed to AI-related change. If just 10% of those jobs disappeared entirely, up to 5.6 million young workers could be affected. And that does not mean AI will eliminate 5.6 million jobs. It means the entry-level pathway itself is vulnerable. And demographics are making the problem very different from country to country. In India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and much of Africa, millions of young people are entering working age, creating enormous pressure to generate jobs. In China, companies are struggling to absorb huge numbers of graduates even as the population ages. In Japan and much of Europe, the problem is almost the opposite. Populations are aging, workers are becoming scarce, yet young people can still struggle to enter the jobs that exist. Governments are responding, but increasingly by trying to connect skills with the industries of the future. India has announced AI training for 10 million young people. China is expanding employment services and training for young graduates. Europe is pushing apprenticeships and vocational education. And countries such as South Korea are linking AI investment, youth unemployment, and demographic policy. But there is a catch. Training young people is only half the solution. The bigger question is, will there actually be good enough entry-level jobs for them to enter? Because this crisis isn't simply about unemployment. It is about a generation trying to find its first rung on a career ladder that is itself changing. And that could ultimately determine not just what young people earn, but where they live, what they study, and whether they migrate, and even when they can afford to start families. For this generation, the careers transition is already underway. Business Bureau, WION World is One. There's some breaking news just coming in right now. A massive fire has broken out at a government hospital in Maharashtra's Amravati, killing 3 newborn babies.
And according to preliminary information, the fire broke out due to a short circuit. Well, at the time of the incident, 39 newborns were admitted to the special newborn care unit of the Amravati District Women's Hospital. Well, this is the breaking that we're getting in at this hour.
A massive fire has broken out at a government hospital in Maharashtra's Amravati, and 3 newborn babies have been killed in this fire. Now, what the preliminary information says is the fire broke out due to a short circuit. At the time of the incident, 39 newborns were admitted to the special newborn care unit.
And for more on this, our principal correspondent Disha Yadav is joining us on the phone line. With Disha, can you please get us more details and updates on what is actually happening?
Well, absolutely. This is a very tragic incident that has taken place in the Amravati district of Maharashtra, where 3 newborn babies have died after a fire broke out inside the special newborn care unit at about 3:30 a.m. and that triggered panic. There were nurses as well as staff present as well, where dozens of critically ill and low birth weight babies were undergoing treatment. There were about 39 newborns present at that point in time when the fire broke out. The hospital staff who were present there, they immediately began evacuating the babies and shifting them to safer locations. However, the 3 newborns could not be saved. They reportedly suffered severe burns and smoke inhalation is what we understand. And several other infants were shifted to nearby hospitals for further treatment. Now, out of the remaining babies, 6 are critically injured is what is the latest information that we are receiving from the hospital, while other babies were moved to different facilities. The exact number of injured infants and their medical condition is still being assessed as we speak. However, the initial cause of the fire is being investigated. The initial reports have pointed to an electrical fault, while some reports do say that a ventilator may have exploded, but authorities are yet to establish the exact cause.
All right, Disha, thank you so much for giving all the details. Indeed tragic. We'll get back to you as and when we get more information.
Getting into space usually means a rocket and a very big bill.
But a UK-Spanish startup is trying a different approach, starting with a giant balloon. B2 Space is using stratospheric balloons to carry rockets and satellites high into the sky,
with the aim of making launches more flexible and potentially lowering costs. Well, could the route to space start with a balloon instead of a rocket on the ground? Well, the answer is in our next report. Take a look.
Getting a satellite into space usually means using a rocket, and that can be very expensive. Now, a UK-Spanish startup is trying a different approach using a giant balloon. B2 Space uses stratospheric balloons to carry satellites and rockets high into the sky to the edge of space. The idea is simple. Take the rocket up first, then fire it from high altitude to reach orbit. B2 Space calls one part of its approach near space testing. Instead of sending a satellite all the way into orbit just to see if it works, the balloon takes it to high altitude, where it can experience conditions similar to those it will face in space. That includes very low air pressure, high levels of ultraviolet radiation, and extreme temperatures. The aim is to find problems before the satellite actually reaches orbit.
Today, a lot of satellites fail on the first days of their missions in space, so we are helping our customers reduce that risk.
But the balloon is not just a testing platform. B2 Space also offers launches with what it calls a raccoon, a combination of a rocket and a balloon. The balloon lifts the rocket to around 35 kilometers above Earth, above more than 99.9% of the atmosphere. Only then does the rocket fire. The company plans to use a 3-stage solid fuel rocket to carry small satellites into low Earth orbit at altitudes between roughly 200 and 1,000 kilometers. The advantage? The rocket does not have to fight its way through the densest part of the atmosphere from ground level. And that could mean less rocket and potentially lower launch costs. For a space industry looking for cheaper launches, more testing, and longer-lasting connectivity, the route to space may not always start with a rocket on the ground. Sometimes it could start with a balloon.
Infantino defies FIFA VP amid governance crisis. A FIFA president under fire. A vice president asking him to stay away.
And Gianni Infantino turning up anyway. Well, the global football body's governance crisis is now playing out in public, with Infantino making a rare appearance in the Caribbean despite a direct request to reconsider his visit.
Now, Gianni Infantino arrived in the Dominican Republic on Saturday for a Caribbean Football Union Under-14 tournament in Punta Cana. But his visit was not welcomed by everyone.
The CONCACAF president and FIFA vice president Victor Montagliani had written to Infantino just a day earlier, asking him to stay away. Well, his reason, the growing fallout over Infantino's failed plan to sell a stake in FIFA's future commercial profits to private investors. But he also warned that the media focus would shift from the young players to FIFA's governance crisis. But Infantino came anyway.
Now, the controversy centers on a proposal to spin off FIFA's multi-billion-dollar commercial activities into a new company. And the plan would have given outside investors a 20% stake.
Well, the investor group was linked to Joshua Kushner, the brother of Jared Kushner. The project sparked a major backlash, and Infantino's own FIFA chief operating officer, Kevin Lamore, publicly criticized the proposal and his leadership style. But the project was withdrawn on 1st of August, and Lamore was fired last week.
Now, Infantino's authority is being challenged from within FIFA's own leadership. Montagliani has also joined UEFA President Alexander Ceferin and Asian football chief Sheikh Salman in pushing back against Infantino's increasingly powerful presidency.
Well, Infantino is now aiming for a fourth and final term as FIFA president, extending his stay until 2031. The election is set for next March in Morocco. And now let's get you the latest updates from the world of entertainment.
Christopher Nolan's monumental box office hit, The Odyssey, is officially heading to home entertainment after a massive exclusive theatrical window of 123 days. The critically acclaimed epic will debut on digital platforms 4K Ultra and HD Blu-ray and DVD on November 17, 2026. The film has grossed over $1.36 billion worldwide and has secured its place as the highest-grossing R-rated movie in history.
Meghan Markle may be returning to acting with a role in The Gentlemen, and several US-centered media have released separate reports on this. Well, The Hollywood Reporter has said that the Duchess was in advanced talks to appear in a third season of the series created by Guy Ritchie. Another publication, Deadline, said the discussions were hypothetical, given that the show has not yet been renewed for a third season. The second season is scheduled to be released next month. And Deadline also said no role has been identified for Meghan, who starred in the US cable TV drama Suits from 2011 to 2018. Now, the reports follow the surprise news that Harry, who stepped down from official duties in 2020, will return with Meghan and their 2 children to live in Britain from their current home in California.
The Queen of Pop is continuing her unstoppable momentum on the dance floor. Madonna has reached the top of the UK charts with the latest track, Love Sensation, marking a historic 5th #1 on the dance charts in just 15 weeks. The latest achievement highlights her enduring influence on the UK dance music scene. Since May 2026, Madonna has rapidly raked up chart toppers with Love Sensation, joining her recent string of hits including I Feel So Free, Danceteria, and Bring Your Love, a collaboration with pop singer Sabrina Carpenter. All right, well, that's on World in it for today, but news and updates will follow on the other side. You're watching WION World is One. Do stay tuned.
No matter what your day throws at you, stay in the spa state of mind with the Cola Spa at home.
In-depth coverage of global issues broken down into facts, figures, and simple words. Backed with analysis from field experts who truly matter, because we believe in decoding the real picture for you. Week after week, creating the maximum impact. Watch WION Wide Angle at these times on WION World is One.
No matter what your day throws at you, stay in the spa state of mind with the Cola Spa at home.
The Israeli drone is above our heads all the time in Lebanon. Around 169 buildings have been totally reduced to rubble. Every time there's a warning, they just come to this public area where there are around 200 tents, and they reside for a while, and then they go back to their homes. Some of the Lebanese people enjoying their times, and some others forcibly displaced. From the southern suburb of Beirut, I'm Radi Francis for WION World is One.
No matter what your day throws at you, stay in the spa state of mind with the Cola Spa at home.
French football turns the page. Zinedine Zidane is the new head coach of Les Bleus. The French Football Federation has officially named Zidane as successor to Didier Deschamps, who steps down after 14 years in charge. For France, this is more than an appointment. It's the return of a national icon. Zidane was the heartbeat of France's 1998 World Cup triumph, scoring twice in the final against Brazil. He went on to win the Ballon d'Or the same year and led Les Bleus to Euro glory in 2000. As a manager, Zidane delivered an unprecedented 3 straight Champions League titles with Real.